Fifth day of the NBA playoffs just ended, so let's talk about it. Undeniably, today I would say that the best game was this Nuggets and T-Wolves game. Now looking, if you only watched the first half of this game, you would wonder why. But if you watch the second half, you know exactly why. When the Wolves first came out in the first half, they kind of looked like the same Wolves from last game. But I don't know what was said in that halftime huddle, but it really got them going. The Jamal Murray from the bubble rose from the ashes this game and dropped 40 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals on 59% shooting. And he had another duel. This is like completely like straight ripped from the bubble Jamal Murray. And instead of Donovan Mitchell he was dueling with Anthony Edwards, who had 40 points, 2 boards, and 5 assists of his own on 60% shooting. And when I tell you they were going back and forth, it was back and forth and back and forth. It literally looked like a playoff series right out of that bubble, man. The Wolves coming out of that halftime break just looked like a completely different team. They were so ferocious on defense. Both Cat and Rudy Gobert got some defensive blocks, and I'm not gonna lie, man. It looked like they had Denver shook for a little bit. They went on like a 10-0 run, and Denver's just offense completely stagnated, and it just let uh, the T Wolves catch up because the T Wolves were down, I believe, 15 at the half, and they caught all the way up at the third quarter within like two. It was just an incredible rally. It was really incredible what the Wolves were able to do. Instead of just like laying over and dying, kind of like they did in the first game, they came out swinging and they almost stole this one on the road. And it makes me just excited to see kind of where this series goes, see if they can replicate this, and see if they can take a couple games at home and just see where this goes. Because I was gonna hop on here at the half. If the game ended at that half, I was gonna hop on here and say this is probably the worst series. But now, the worst series is probably Boston at Atlanta. And I gotta say, man, I'm not sure if this is a controversial take or not, but I think that two big lineup with Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, even though they haven't got any more wins, that it is looking good in the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie, man, because Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns gave Jokic a little trouble, man, in that third and fourth quarter. They just made it. They kind of had their own little mini twin towers that Cleveland kind of does, and they made it a lot more difficult on Jokic than it would usually be. I think part of how uh, that Minnesota was able to get back is that Denver just really let their guard down. Like they did not expect the Timberwolves to come back because you had to be in their shoes. Timberwolves just lost their first game there by like 40 points, and then they just came in and got steamrolled the first half for like 20 points. So Denver's kind of like just coasting. They're chilling, man. But I gotta say, that is the absolutely, undecidedly, well, decidedly the best game of the night, and probably one of my favorite games of the whole playoffs so far, on what would otherwise be a pretty bad night. Alright, let's get into this considerably worse next game. This Lakers and Grizzlies game. Man, I don't know what the Lakers are doing, man. The Lakers look like they just woke up from playing a back to back and they all ate like fucking big ass pizzas full of carbs the night before. 'Cause they look lethargic as hell. They look so sleepy, man. They all look like they're 80 years old, like LeBron age, ready to go home. Ironically, LeBron was probably one of them. But him and Rui were probably the ones that had the best performances tonight. Um, for the Wolves here, or not the Wolves. I'm still thinking about the T-Wolves game to be honest, man. The Grizzlies here, we got Bane Leonard, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Xavier Tillman steps up. So obviously, John Morant. Well, I obviously might be a wrong word because you might not have known, but John Morant had a broken hand this game. Not a broken hand, a hurt hand, so he didn't play this game. So you're wondering who's gonna step up for them. Bane came out hot. He kind of cooled off. Leonard or not Leonard. What the hell did I say, bro? Kennard. His name is Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard came out hot. He kind of cooled off too. Jaren Jackson Jr. He had a good night. He kind of cooled off too. But Xavier Tillman was the one motherfucker that would not cool off. Tillman had 22 points, 13 assists, not 13 assists, 13 boards and 3 dimes on 77% shooting. Now, granted, he only took 10 shots. Well, he took 13 shots, but really that percentage should be higher because one of those shots was just a haul, like a chuck at the end of like a half. So it's probably more on like 80% shooting. Xavier Tillman was having a hell of a game. And I'm going to tell you why he was having a hell of a game. Because Anthony Davis was fucking asleep the whole game. I don't know what happened to Anthony Davis. Man was just, he was non existent. I don't know what he was doing. Like, defensively, he had a couple blocks, but defensively, he wasn't even that good either. Offensively, he wasn't there. It looked like he just wanted to go home, man. He looked like he was over it. So I don't understand how Davis can have these like 50 points one night and then come out and put up like 22, not even 22, like 15 on like 2 of 14 shooting, man. How do you do that, Anthony Davis? Um, anyway, so they kind of got rolled in the first half. The Lakers did. They kind of got blown out. But the second half, LeBron wakes up because the first half, none of the Lakers were doing anything, man. They all just were going through the motions, thinking because they had the Lakers on their chest that they were going to win this game, but they weren't. Grizzlies just were more motivated and played harder. Second half, LeBron wakes up. He's really the only one, him and Rui, that gave them anything. LeBron had 28 points, 12 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal and 1 block on 52%. Solid LeBron game in the second half. Rui had 20 points, 5 boards, 2 assists on 58 shooting. They combined for over half of the Lakers' points, just those two. So shout out to them, man. And shout out to Xavier Tillman. He's the real GOAT. And then last and least of the night here, we have this Heat and Bucks game. And this Bucks game was just pretty much it was just a revenge tour for the Bucks. Everything that kind of went well for the Heat last game went wrong for them, and everything that went wrong for the Bucks went well for the Bucks tonight. They're shooting. Drew, Joe, and Pat all shot above 62%. Obviously, there's no Giannis in this game. The Bucks had 81 points at half, and the Heat really just got completely blitzed. Like, the Heat were not expecting this at all, and nobody was giving them really any kind of production except for like Jimmy Butler and like what's that guy's name, Max Strus. They were the only ones giving them the Heat anything. The Heat look absolutely flabbergasted, and I'm not sure if the Heat are going to win another game in this series because they just got completely dominated, and I'm not sure we're going to see another Bucks game where they shoot as horribly as they did in that first half, and as well as the Heat did in that first game. I meant first game for that Bucks game. I'm not sure if we're going to see the Bucks shoot as good or as worse as they did in that first game, and the Heat as good as they did in that first game. Yeah. So that one was a pretty stinker. The Bucks were up by like 35 points, man. It was ridiculous. Yeah, so that's all I really got to say. Tell me what you think in the comments. I will reply, hot takes, anything. And I'll see you tomorrow, man. Peace.